I'm seriously disappointed in you guys.
Game 5 wasn't unwinnable. I guess I've just been failing at my job of trying to explain how Scrabble works to people. At some point, people just revert to the mentality that we had when we started playing Scrabble casually. Oh, I couldn't have won that game. As if Scrabble is just like a fucking lottery. In the thousands of tournament Scrabble games that I've played over the years, I can point to a handful of them where I don't know what I could have done to change the outcome. And in reality, that's still a lazy mindset to have. That mindset assumes that I have some like completely unflappable understanding of the game of Scrabble, that I'm somehow the arbiter of what the best play is every single turn. Now, don't get me wrong. Game 5 was definitely underwhelming and very unfortunate for Mac Meller. It was one sided, it wasn't clear what Mac could have done to improve his chances of winning. But not for 1 second does that mean that Mac couldn't have won the game, that trying to do so would have been just some futile experiment. Like, do you guys have short term memory loss or something? What about game 27? Nigel Peltier was down 200 points against Ori Swift, and everybody had lost hope except Nigel. He made some incredible plays, drew the right stuff, and came back in style. I had the privilege of anchoring and covering all of the games from the 2025 Scrabble Players Championship. The final 5 games between Nigel Peltier and Mac Meller were filled with very, very interesting positions. But sometimes Scrabble games are one sided. That is just the nature of variance. But I want to make something incredibly clear. There's a huge difference between a game being one sided and a game being unwinnable for one of the two players. And I think perhaps the most incredible thing about the game of Scrabble is that we just don't know most of the time. Sometimes we get a position where the top play is not only obvious by top players, also obvious to engines, and there really is no doubt that this is the best move in the position. But most of the time, there are multiple candidate moves that could very well be the best play. For a game to truly be unwinnable, the losing side has to be making every only move in every position. That means making far and away the best play in the position every single move. Therefore, there being no doubt at the end of the game that, they did their best. In game 5 of Mac Meller versus Nigel Peltier, there were 2 positions early on in the game where Mac made a move that might be the best play, but might also not be the best play. In the position where Mac Meller played butter, for instance, there are a variety of other plays he could have made. It isn't clear that butter is the best play. Same goes for the yin position. There are tons of options in that position, and although the play of yin may be the best play, there's no way of actually knowing that. Mac didn't do anything wrong per se, but in no world can we know what would have happened if he had made a different play in those 2 positions. It's like the butterfly effect. Any tiny little tweak you could have made could change the outcome completely. Mac plays unbred, for example, and then draws a bingo through the end next turn. Mac plays toy or U instead of yin. He draws a huge bingo from the Z. Because Mac could have done something different in 2 of the positions early in the game before things were out of reach, looking at the one outcome that actually ended up happening and saying, oh, there's too much luck in Scrabble, it's intellectually lazy at best. And at worst, it's completely at odds with what makes Scrabble amazing and what's going to get eyes on the game and grow it. At a player level, looking at luck and blaming whatever results on that, rather than on things that are within your control, well, that's a recipe for you never improving as a player. And at the level of a spectator, it's really just a complete disservice to the people that have spent so many hours trying to improve their craft. It's a total failure of imagination. Because thinking of Scrabble that way makes you shrink. And precisely because we don't know what we could have done, that's why we look over our games. That's why we try to improve. And maybe if one day I'm as good as Nigel Richards at Scrabble, and I play a game where I just lose terribly, and I make all the best plays, maybe then I'll be like, okay, well, I guess there's always next time. Scrabble is so incredibly far from being a solved game. it's actually completely useless to think about Scrabble in terms of luck. So next time you're watching or even playing a one-sided Scrabble game, look over the game, see if there were any improvements that could have been made, and then move on, play the next game. And as always, thanks for watching.